Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Liam's Fight Night Picks over here on the JFT YouTube channel. It's a big week stateside this weekend, so there was only one man I was going to be calling to come on the show this week, and that is Mr. Chilltown Boxing. It's great to have you back, mate. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. It was a great card last week, and I'm very much looking forward to this card this week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday boxing.
Yeah, I think Tottenham delivered maybe more than we were expecting. I had you on. You were on with me, Sam, and Jay last week, and we sort of said these fights could give us a bit of a long night. And although it was 5 fights that all went to decision, they definitely all delivered in their own way, didn't they?
Oh, Eubank and Ben was. I don't care what anyone says because I've heard some people shit on it because of them overrating it, because of what their names. It doesn't matter. That fight was absolutely incredible. That was a fight of the year contender, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Right up there for me, what we've had so far. But look, the action doesn't stop, as you said. We've got Times Square on Friday night. We've got Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Saturday. And then Sunday, rolling into a bank holiday over here in the UK, we've got the Monster Inoue getting an outing in Vegas. So there's plenty to get stuck into. We are going to start, though, in Saudi, and we're going to start with the heavyweights. And Martin Bakole and Efe Ajagba. Look, this fight was meant to be on the Times Square card. Bakole obviously stepped in against Joseph Parker at 32 hours notice or whatever madness that was back in February. As a result of losing, he's lost his IBF final eliminator for this fight. But Martin Bakole, look, he needs to remind people of where he's at, doesn't he? That Parker loss can really derail him if he doesn't deliver Saturday night, can't it?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely going to derail him. This is a fight that he'd probably be way more heavily favored to win if he didn't get stopped by Joseph Parker. Not only did he get stopped, he looked pretty bad. He came in extremely overweight. How much weight did he lose from then to now? You can't blame him for taking it. I mean, it's a big payday. I'm sure he got paid nicely. And he did have a shot. People were giving him a shot, including myself, to beat Joseph Parker. But, yeah, this is one now. I feel like he's going to have a lot of pressure. He has to perform on this because, where do you go if you lose to Efe Ajagba?
Yeah, I mean, you just said it right about Bakole and the shape he came in at. Funnily enough, I spoke to Billy Nelson, with Sam and Jay about 10 days before all this happened, and Billy said that he wanted Martin in Scotland then to get ready for this date for May. So he didn't have Martin in Scotland when he wanted him for this original date. So let's hope he's had a good training camp this time. But we'll touch on Ajagba quickly. Look, he's probably best known to us boxing fans for his loss to Frank Sanchez. Obviously, Frank Sanchez at the time was being sort of given the Luis Ortiz treatment of how old is this guy? He's got a hard head. He's going to cause problems. But we've seen him come unstuck since. This is Ajagba's shot, isn't it? Kind of how many fighters have we seen on these Riyadh season cards take their shots, seize their opportunity? Caballero's a heavyweight that comes to mind when we think about the wins he's had. What do you make of Ajagba's chances on Saturday?
Well, Efe is somebody who's really had a lot of momentum. He was really one-dimensional against Frank Sanchez. I thought he was exposed a bit. That also happened to be, now in hindsight, Frank Sanchez's best performance. But Efe's really going to have to put it together. I think he's going to really have to stick it on Bakole early because he still has a problem with his footwork. He has very slow, plodding feet, and it can get exposed by somebody like Bakole. The thing, I'm kind of torn on this because of Bakole's last performance. Bakole looked absolutely phenomenal against Baby Anderson. I think he just blew him out of the water. And Baby Anderson, in every regard, I would rate him better than Efe Ajagba. I think he would beat Efe Ajagba. So this is really Bakole's fight to lose, but there's question marks on him. Like, what shape are you going to come into? But I think, Efe has been stepping up. Man, this is tough. Let me tell you something, though. Efe almost got stopped by Guido a couple times. I think we got to talk about that.
He did.
He ate 2 right hands. I'm remembering that really he was close to getting stopped. So now while we're talking about this, I think Bakole might get to him. I do.
Yeah, look, I think the interesting thing is, and it shows recency bias in boxing, if Bakole's last performance was Baby Anderson, we would still be saying Bakole's the next one. He's going to steamroll through Ajagba and then he's going to get his shot. But because we've had that Parker fight in between, yes, with the circumstances that we've already touched on, it's playing on your mind, isn't it? But I am going to
you got to talk about it.
Mate.
Yeah,
it's got to be spoken about. How do you see this fight going, then, mate? What's your prediction?
Man, I gotta still go with Bakole. FA stands up to. I mean, in every regard, he should be stylistically in favor of Bakole. He stands too straight up. I've seen him hurt before, and at the end of the day, Joseph Parker is way more fluid. Does probably everything better than F.A. Ajagba if we're gonna compare apples to oranges here. So I still got Bakole. As long as he comes in shape, I got to see these weigh-ins, man. You cannot be looking like he did against Joseph Parker. He's got to look in better shape than that. So I got Bakole. I got Bakole getting to him.
Yeah, mate, I agree with you. Look, it depends how Martin looks, but I will put my neck out on the line and say he's not going to be looking like he was before Parker. And the other caveat to Parker for me is Joseph Parker, outside of Usyk and Dubois, he's the best heavyweight in the world at the moment. The role he's been on since that Joe Joyce loss, I give him a lot of credit. So I'm going to go Martin Bakole, round number 6. I think he'll, similar to the Anderson fight, he's going to jump on him early, and when the time comes to get him out of there, he'll take it. That's how I see that one going.
Yeah, same. I could see a mid-stoppage. Yeah, I could see this getting sloppy too, but still, I rely on the bigger guy. So yeah, I got Bakole probably wearing him down.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to stay in Riyadh for our next fight, mate, and it's a rematch that if you said to us we were going to get a rematch between these two fighters when their first fight was announced for Mexico, you would have thought we were on some substances. But we are seeing Bruno Soares and Jaime Munguia run back their first fight, where Jaime Munguia was stopped by the punch of Soares' life in the 6th round. If we're being really honest, he'd been down in the second, looked like he was getting stopped, and he landed this right hand that decimated the Mexican. Look, I said here, can Soares repeat the trick again? But you got to talk about confidence here. Soares' confidence is going to be up here, whereas Munguia's, you imagine, could be somewhere down here. I mean, Munguia fought 4 times last year. He beat John Ryder. He lost to Canelo. He came back, moved over to Top Rank and came back with an unconvincing win. And then he had this fight against Soares. So I suppose, firstly, how much confidence do you think Bruno Soares is taking into this fight?
Yeah, well, he's going to have all the confidence in the world because he knows that he can hurt Jaime Munguia. But, I almost look at this. Rematches are tricky because there's a lot of things to break down in a rematch that I can't even get into right now because I'd be talking for 45 minutes. But in terms of this one, I think this would probably be more similar to, not as lopsided, but maybe Bekta Boli and Gabe Rosado, where, look, the odds will even tell you it all. They still have Jaime Munguia as a 10-1 favorite going into this.
Yeah.
So, it's not like they shortened. This is still, I think, Jaime Munguia all around is the better fighter. How hurt was he? I mean, at the end of the day, I think Jaime Munguia is always going to be a little susceptible with his chin. He's always believed in his chin. He gets hit a lot, but he's Mexican. Mexicans get hit a lot. They like to get hit. They like to take one to give one. So I don't think that's going to change. But I have a feeling he's going to be much more motivated, much more confident going into this. It's not in Mexico, which is probably a good thing. He'll be more focused. I think we're going to see the Jaime Munguia of old.
Yeah, look, I mean, Jaime Munguia, he's 28, and this is his 47th professional fight, which tells you everything. Crazy. It's a very Canelo-esque journey in the sense of he was turned pro when he was 14, 15, and he's just seems like he's been around for forever. But 2024 wasn't Jaime Munguia's year. It's the first time in his career that things haven't gone his way, and obviously there's always been whispers of he had a padded record, he was being nicely maneuvered, and okay, look, not many people will be able to beat Canelo. Bivol and Floyd Mayweather, for goodness sake, are the only 2 people to do it. So there's some asterisks there, but he's not fighting for his career, but he's fighting for a right to stay relevant at the moment, isn't he, Munguia?
No, absolutely. I mean, he's had some great fights in the last few years where I thought have definitely stamped that he's world class or close to it. I mean, with the right opponent in the weight class, he could win a belt. I mean, there's 4 belts, right? So you just need the right opportunity for someone like Jaime Munguia. No, he's a big, strong kid, throws a ton of punches. That's going to be a nightmare for anybody. So I think Jaime Munguia, like, if he's focused here, he's training hard. Did he overlook his last fight? he could have probably. You know, who's taking a French fighter serious? There's not many, unless you're in
No.
Billy, or someone of French descent, from France. But yeah, I got Jaime Munguia right in the wrongs here.
So you got Jaime Munguia. What are you saying? Points or stoppage?
No, he's gonna right in the wrong. When I'm saying that, I got him stopping. I'm like him making it clear. I'm making it clear. A clear stoppage. He's gonna come out, and I think he's gonna be very, very motivated to put this to bed.
Yeah. Look, I think Munguia is going to win. I'm unsure if he'll get a stoppage. I just think we might see him a bit more cautious. I think he's going to be, he knows he has to get it right. He knows he's almost got to be punch perfect, if that makes sense. So I think we may see him take a comfortable points victory rather than a stoppage. But I do agree, if he really wants to right the wrong, if he really wants to make a statement, then it needs to be a stoppage victory.
Yeah, exactly. If you want a big fight next and you want to stay relevant, especially in Saudi Arabia, that's the angle I'm looking at. He's going to want to put a stamp on this win so they don't have to talk about his first loss. And that's how you do it. You come back with a knockout in the rematch.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to bounce over to Times Square on Friday night. Times Square is being shut down for a 3-fight card. Fatal Fury in Times Square is obviously the tagline for this card. And Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez is the first fight on this card that we're going to talk about. Look, I've put it here on the screen. Haney's kept his own, but there's going to be some mental scars from the Garcia beating. And my question going into this fight is, how significant are those scars? And is Devin Haney going to be able to box like we've seen him box prior to the Garcia beating, regardless of the asterisk that's on that beating? What's your views?
Yeah, that's something you got to talk about, because even though they took that loss away, they didn't take the beating that he endured. And that was a beating. He was getting dog walked. He got dropped 3 times badly. He looked concussed. Ryan popped for PEDs, came in overweight, but that wasn't a PED or a weight problem. That was, I can't get out of the way of a fast left hook problem. So I don't know. Nobody's going to know. No one can answer this, Liam. I don't even think Devin Haney can answer it, how he's going to react once the bell rings. Like, is your chin okay? Is it not okay? Because if it's not okay and he's tentative on standing his ground, or, if he's questioning himself in the ring, like Jose Ramirez, as much as you want to say he's probably washed at the end of his career, he still comes forward and throws a ton of punches, and he's got a good left hook to the body and to the head. Like, so if you're in a world where you are questioning yourself, oh man, it could be a long night. This could be a closer fight than the odds suggest, and it could be a closer fight than if this was before the Ryan Garcia fight. Otherwise, I thought it would go somewhere how the Regis Prograis fight would go. So I don't think anyone can tell how Haney's going to look mentally and physically going into this. Plus, it's at a catch weight. I think people need to talk about that too. It's not 147. It's not 140. It's at 144. It's just strange to me.
Yeah, look, we're hopefully going to get these questions answered about Devin on Friday night. But if he's not on his game, look, Jose Ramirez was a 2-belt champion before he ran into Josh Taylor, and this was the Josh Taylor who was beating everybody, not the Josh Taylor we've seen in recent times. It's lost to Jack Catterall, lost to Teo Lopez, and we're going to find out what he has left against Esserman in 3 weeks' time. So you've got to put some respect on the former champ's name. As you've hinted at, everything points towards Ramirez is on the tail end of his career, and this should be perfectly leaned towards Devin Haney. But exactly as you just said, I said last night when I gave my prediction with the boys that if this was before Garcia and after Regis Prograis, I'd expect a similar type of performance. Haney may get a knockdown, but the reality is he puts on a schooling for 12 rounds and takes a very wide decision. Now, I've got question marks on it. I know which way I'm leaning towards it, but it wouldn't at all surprise me to see Ramirez ask Devin some questions. Yeah,
I'm thinking of this this is something, especially with the Ryan Garcia. Well, this is a whole nother thing. I think Devin Haney has a lot of flaws. He needs certain styles to shine against. But the thing with Ryan Garcia that really gave me a lot of pause going into that fight was Devin Haney had really never fought somebody that was his own size, height, and reach. And Ryan Garcia had that all on him. But so does Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is taller than Devin Haney. Jose Ramirez has a longer reach. So I don't know how he's going to react to that also. This could go down probably similar to, say, the Jorge Linares fight. But Jose Ramirez is bigger than Jorge Linares. And, he's got more power. He's a legitimate 140-pounder, Jose Ramirez. So I know everyone's writing Jose Ramirez off, and I can see why, because they're trying to push the Ryan Garcia fight out of their mind. But Ryan Garcia fight happened. So this could potentially be a lot closer than people think. Like we touched on. So my mind's a little bit all over the place on this one. Everything says Devin Haney stylistically. They picked Jose Ramirez. Ramirez didn't pick Haney, so they know what they're doing. But yeah, this could be close.
Go on, give me your prediction then, mate. What do you see happening?
I want to say close Haney points. Yeah, close Haney points. I think there could be some. I think there's going to be some close rounds going to this. I don't think it's going to be the 10-2 domination that everyone thinks. So I'm going to say close Haney points.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 7-5 type of fight. I'm going to lean in Devin Haney's favor, but I see it being a very close fight. Look, I'm hoping he comes out and puts on a show and shows us that he's fully recovered from everything with Ryan Garcia in the aftermath. But I have my doubts. I need to see how he looks on the scales on Thursday, how he looks in the ring. But I'll side with Devin Haney as well, mate.
Yeah, and I've been watching Jose Ramirez interviews. He is up for this fight.
He's in there, isn't he? He's locked in.
And I think the catchweight at 144 actually favors Jose Ramirez. I mean, Haney requested it because he didn't want to make 140. So right there, that's a red flag to me. So you don't want to make 140, but you don't want to fight at welterweight. So I don't know. That's just iffy to me. But I know Ramirez was talking about maybe going up in weight. He was struggling with 140. So I really think 144 actually helps Ramirez. So this is a tricky fight. And it's actually, I think, going to be a good fight.
Yeah, I agree, mate. So here we go. We've just mentioned Ryan Garcia, so we may as well talk about his fight. Look, Ryan Garcia, we also haven't seen since the Devin Haney fight, but for different circumstances, he served his silent ban. That's, of course, magically been lifted for this Times Square event. We're not going to get into the ins and outs of that. Everyone's got opinions on it. We're going to leave that alone. Ryan Garcia, I've never known where I sat with him. Is the kid unbelievably talented? Undoubtedly. But is he on that level that we talk about other fighters being on? That's where I'm on the fence. How do you view Ryan Garcia?
So he's another one. Like, he's not this all-rounded fighter like Terrence Crawford that can adapt to any style. It doesn't matter. Like, you need a certain style in front of Ryan Garcia because he has 2 or 3 elite, may I even say special attributes. One is his hand speed. He's got some of the fastest hands in boxing. And that left hook. That left hook is absolutely ridiculous. His left hook, is what wins him fights. He doesn't have the best defense. He goes back in straight lines, this and that. But it's that hand speed. It's absolutely elite. So if you're somebody that can't get out of the way of a punch, doesn't have great ring IQ, he's going to expose you. Yeah, but Ryan Garcia, he's proven over and over again. I mean, look what he did to Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell went 12 rounds with Lomachenko not that long before he fought Ryan Garcia. So Ryan Garcia has some very impressive wins. And will I say Oscar Duarte, very impressive win, victory. So he has some shades of world-class potential. Yeah,
completely agree, mate. Let's touch on Rolly quickly. Obviously, the common denominator between him and Garcia is they've both been stopped by Gervonta Davis. And the other blemish for Rolly is Isaac Cruz at the start. Well, this time 12 months ago, near enough.
Yeah.
This is tailor-made for Ryan Garcia, isn't it? It's been set up for him to make a statement on Friday night. Or is Rolly going to be capable of doing anything?
Yeah, so if I'm Ryan Garcia, I would want somebody like Rolly in front of me. Because, yeah, he's awkward, but he's not very quick. His footwork isn't great, and he gets hit. Look, Ismael Barroso, he's like 45. He had no problem getting to Rolly Romero. He doesn't have anywhere near the speed of a Ryan Garcia. Rolly Romero's not only been hurt and stopped before, he's been outboxed. I thought Jackson Marina's beat him, outboxed him handily a few years ago. And then he did get stopped by Pitbull Cruz. Rolly's last fight wasn't anything special. He went 10 rounds with somebody that Abdullah Mason completely washed. So I actually think since the knockout to Tank, Rolly Romero has become very timid. I don't think he's the same fighter, as dangerous, as willing to take chances. And this is at 147. Ryan Garcia has grown. He is enormous next to Rolly Romero. Everything is in Ryan's favor, and including the style. The style matchup for him is somebody that he's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to help himself. He's going to land all over Rolly. He's too fast, too talented. He could outbox him, or he could just outwork him and hurt him. So I can't give Rolly too much of a chance here unless it's just a punch he doesn't see coming.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be a Ryan Garcia stoppage in round number 5. I just think it's going to be one of those nights where everything falls into place for him and he's able to make a statement. What is your official prediction, mate?
Yeah, I would say within the first 6. I don't see why this wouldn't go over 6 or 7 rounds.
Yeah, agreed. So we're going to touch on the last fight from Times Square, and it's perhaps the fight I'm personally most excited about this weekend. It's for the WBO Super Lightweight World Championship between the King, who is Teofimo Lopez, and the interim champion, Arnold Barboza Jr. Teofimo Lopez, his career is either absolutely sensational, on fire, red hot, beating the likes of Lomachenko or Josh Taylor, or it's flat performances. It's losing to George Kambosos Jr. when you were a heavy favourite. It's just about getting past Sandor Martin and other fighters like that. What do you make of Teo Lopez? There's no denying the kid's talent, but it's a very frustrating career, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, people keep telling me he's hot and cold, but Liam, is he hot and cold, or does he have an issue with certain styles? Because it seems like, in my opinion, watching Teo, he can't produce his own offense. He's not comfortable producing his own offense. He's not proactive. He needs people coming to him. Lomachenko comes to him when he doesn't. So Teofimo's at his best as a counterpuncher. But when someone comes to him, he's very good because he can react well. Because his twitch, his muscle twitch is so great. He's an athletic phenomenon, right? He can do things that other people can't. Josh Taylor is a come forward, he mauls you to, but Teofimo's footwork is so great. He can, dance circles around them. But when Teofimo has to figure out how he has to throw the first punch and try to catch somebody, he can't. He's almost clueless. Yeah. So is it hot and cold, or is it the thing? He could match Lomachenko's footwork. Lomachenko never had somebody that could match his footwork before. He could dance with Lomachenko, and he was much bigger than Lomachenko. So Lomachenko was kind of out of ideas. He didn't want to commit to anything, especially after seeing him with Comey. Comey, another pressure fighter, he did very good against. So that's what I say. Is it hot or cold, or is it a style issue? And I think it's a style issue. I don't think Teofimo's a complete fighter. I don't think he is as great as everyone. He is great, but with a certain style in front of him. That's what I'm getting when I said before. He has certain elite qualities, but then there's other qualities that he hasn't perfected. He's not a complete fighter.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. Teo needs a certain level of fighter in front of him in order to look as good as we've seen him look. And when he doesn't have that opponent, he looks mediocre. He struggles. But on the other side of this coin in this fight, we have Arnold Barboza Jr., who is gunning for the King, who is 32-0, who's just been over to the UK and beat Jack Catterall on points, which was a fantastic performance. And then within 2 weeks, he's agreed to this fight. So that tells you everything you need to know, not only about where Barboza Jr. is in his career at the moment, but about how confident he is as well. Look, we've all questioned him, didn't we? And I think we spoke prior to him fighting Ramirez after the Sean McComb fight, which we all agree that split decision stinks. But he got a very good victory against Ramirez out in Latino night in Saudi last November. He came over and beat Jack Catterall, that's been the man in waiting for a very long time, always the bridesmaid. The momentum's with Barboza Jr., and I'm a big fan of his. How about yourself?
Yeah, so Arnold Barboza is a tricky one because he's somebody that I wouldn't say has any elite qualities. But on the flip side, I think he's a very well-rounded fighter. So he's disciplined. he's does everything just very good, right? We could say that he does very, and he can adjust. He has good ring IQ. That's what makes this fight so intriguing. But I like Arnold Barboza, and look, he was the underdog twice against Jose Ramirez, Catterall, and now he's the third time he's the underdog against Teofimo. I picked him to beat Jose Ramirez. I picked him to beat Jack Catterall, and this is a really great fight to break down. So I like Arnold Barboza because I think his style can pose some issues. Arnold Barboza can fight in the front foot. He can maintain center ring, and he can fight in the back foot. And I've been watching a lot of his fights, and I've seen him fight all different types of ways, Arnold Barboza. So this is a good one to break down.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree with you. And we don't say it with any disrespect when we say he doesn't have any outstanding qualities. But the fact he can do everything to such a high level is what makes him such a complicated fighter to break down. And I think that's what Jack Catterall found out in February. There was nothing outstanding that Barboza was doing, but he was just relentless and constant and on the same level all night.
Yeah.
And that's something Teo is going to struggle with, because Teo likes to work, have a break, then go back to work. Barboza won't allow him to do that. Barboza will be there for as long as this fight lasts. So the WBO championship is on the line. How are you seeing this fight going?
So I think it depends on, in all honesty, Arnold Barboza's game plan. I think, and this is the thing when I say he might not do anything special, but he does everything great. He has great discipline. He has a great jab. He makes great adjustments in the ring. I think if his jab, and he does have these advantages going into this. He's big. Yeah. He's a big 140-pounder. He's going to have a significant reach advantage and height advantage and momentum. Momentum's a big thing. Teofimo's been out of the ring for over a year. In that same time, Arnold Barboza has had 2 fights. So being active is a real thing going into this fight. Confidence is a real thing going into this fight. Fighting Steve Claggett over a year ago does nothing to prepare you for fighting Arnold Barboza. So if Arnold Barboza fights on the back foot as a counterpuncher, he needs Teo to come to him, like we were alluding to before. You can't press Teo. I would have, like he did against Jose Ramirez. He fought that fight in the back foot brilliantly. Worked his jab, combinations, and then moved. I think Arnold Barboza can win a decision here. And look, I'm getting messages left and right. Teofimo's going to hurt Barboza, going to stop him. Barboza gets hit, but I don't know if it's that easy. I can't see Teofimo cutting off the ring. I didn't think he beat Jermaine Ortiz. I thought he got lucky with Sandor Martin. These are 240. I don't think his power carried. He's got 1 knockout in the last 7 fights. So, yeah, people bring up Sean McComb, but, Sean McComb and Teofimo couldn't be 2 completely polar and different opposite style of fighters. So I think Arnold Barboza is going to, be the 3rd underdog in a row. I've never seen this to pull it off.
Yeah, mate, I agree with everything you've just said. I favour Barboza. I think he's going to win on points. And I can see this fight being similar to the George Kambosos fight was for Lopez. I can see perhaps an early flash knockdown against Teo. I can see him then chasing the fight down the stretch, but just not doing enough. I think it will be Avenue. And then there'll be questions to answer for Lopez.
In the George Kambosos fight, this is what drove me so crazy, is that his dad in his corner, you know what his advice was? He was yelling, just knock him out. Just knock him out.
That's all the advice is.
Second round, third round, fourth round. That's not making in-game adjustments. You can't be a world-class fighter and have your corner arguing with your corner, that's not, So you need the team, a package. I think Barboza's riding a complete wave of momentum. Didn't mean to cut you off there. But.
No, you're all good, my friend. You're all good. So we're both agreeing we're going to hear the words Avenue in Times Square on Friday night. And we're going to stay in America, but we're going to jump ahead to Sunday. And we're going to jump across to Las Vegas for Monster Naoya Inoue, who Bob Arum is adamant will not crack boxing unless he can crack America. Despite the numbers he's doing in Japan, he's coming over to take on the next contestant in his career. It is, it's a showcase really, this for Inoue, isn't it? And I say this with all due respect. There's very few fighters that are going to test Inoue. We all know who they are and we all know the fights we want to see. But this is just another showcase for the monster, isn't it? Or am I being a bit disrespectful?
No, a complete showcase. There's nothing at 122 for him. I don't think anyone is interested in anything at 122. We all know the outcomes. It's just a kind of a shallow division, and he is one of the top fighters in the world, if not the top fighter in the world. So that's that.
Yes. Mate, it is what it is. Look, he's an outstanding fighter. Bob Arum has had this Vegas showcase earmarked for a year. We heard it after both his fights last year. He will be in America next year. He will be in America. So here we go. He's in America. Let's hope he makes the statement that we're expecting to see him come out with. But I'm a massive Inoue fan. For me, he's right up there in the pound-for-pound rankings. It's now, after this fight, we want to see him define the legacy. We don't want to see him tread water. We want to see him move on, don't we? But we'll touch on his opponent quickly. Roman Cardenas. I've said here comes the next contestant, and it is kind of how it must feel for these guys going in with Inoue. They know they're going in with an incredibly special talent. Only one loss on his record, 14 knockouts. What's his ambition in this fight? How can you make it? Can you make a case for the American?
I mean, he's got to catch him. He's got to catch him like Luis Neri caught him, and then hope you finish him. That's what you got to do. Because Inoue is an absolute. When I talk about changing game, like Inoue is the complete package. He does almost everything elite. He's great at everything: defense, offense, punch selection, ring IQ, adjustment. Like Inoue is, and he has the power to match. Right? He has the power in this weight class. Every weight class he's gone up, he's carried his power. That's a significant thing. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and he's always disciplined, always on point. Inoue. Top 3 pound for pound without a doubt. He's a living legend, man. So it's going to be tough.
Look, let's get predictions. We don't need to dwell on this for too long. The main event from Vegas on Sunday night. I think I know where you're going, but let's hear you say it.
Yeah, I'm saying Cardenas is aggressive, and that will do him in early. I think 4th or 5th round stoppage.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, mate. I think Cardenas' aggressiveness could be to his detriment. Someone that wants to come forward onto Inoue is perfect for those hooks he throws when he's leaning back and stepping out of range. And I think, as you said, that'll be his undoing. I'll go for round number 5 for the monster to win and to make Bob Arum a very happy man that he's finally got him over to America. But we will leave Vegas behind. Look, it's fantastic. It's fantastic to have 3 fights this weekend. As I've said, it's a holiday weekend in the UK. We've all got the Monday off, so you can imagine the delight me and the boys have about all this boxing coming up. And we've got a main event to talk about in Saudi as well. And as I'm saying here, the first time was so nice for Canelo. He has to become undisputed twice. It was the IBF belt he picked up the first time when he stopped Caleb Plant, which was also his last stoppage back in 2022. And it's the IBF belt he's looking to regain again when he takes on William Skull. He picks up the belt last October when he beat the Russian Shishkin in a fight quickly forgotten, I think, is how we're going to word that. Look, there's not many dances left from Canelo now. He's 62, 2-2. He's had a Hall of Fame career that is going to be spoken about for years to come. However, this is the 3rd or 4th opponent in a row now that we are going, is that it? Are we not getting Benavidez? Are we not getting Crawford? Or are we not seeing him in with someone we give more of a chance to? Yes, we know the narrative here is it's a belt holder, so it's to pick up a title, but underwhelming from Canelo yet again?
Extremely underwhelming. No one knows who William Skull is. No one really cares. Yes, he has a title. I don't call him a champion. In reality, I thought he was probably up there with Denis Berinchyk, one of the worst champions to hold the belt. And I think it's going to look something like that. I'm sorry. William Skull is probably not even a top 10, 168 pounder. That's how poorly I think of him. But he has a belt, so he's got this opportunity.
Yeah, mate, I don't disagree with you. Look, let's be realistic here. The IBF were getting fed up of not getting 3% of their all to themselves at 168, so they decided to strip Canelo. They put it on with Skull and Shishkin, who were the 2 next best in the rankings. That's all we can say about it. But now we're in this position again, where we all knew when Skull and Shishkin was made, we all knew the winner of that belt was going to go in to fight Canelo. Just the question was, is it going to happen straight away, or are they going to get one defense first? But unfortunately for William Skull, he's cashing himself out a bit like a lamb to the slaughter. What can you say? You can't. Oh no, you can't blame him in the slightest. And if we were in the position of being a world title, we were offered some Canelo
share. Canelo payday. Yeah, That's the golden goose.
Everyone will take a Canelo payday. It's like McGregor used to say about red panty night. It's one of those. You're going to take it. But can you make any sort of argument for Skull here? Is it a victory for him maybe lasting the 12 rounds?
Yeah, it's a victory for him. Yeah, he slaps punches. He gasses out. I mean, look, forget having like Diego Pacheco beat him. I would have like Serhii Derevyanchenko beat him. There's so many 168-pounders that I think are so much better than. But he got an opportunity against Shishkin, who's also not a top 100. You know, this is just crazy to me. These fights. You know, we got Canelo and Inoue fighting these level of. It's just, as a boxing fan, it's kind of frustrating. But no, I think a victory for Skull. I don't see a path to victory, but a victory would be, hey, I didn't get stopped by Canelo. I lasted 12 rounds. Something like Matthew Germain did with Dalton Smith. Hey, I made it the distance, right? So
I hear you, mate.
I don't know.
Yeah, any William Skull fans or members of Team Skull tuning in, look, we want to give him wish him every luck. We want to give him a chance, but he's in with one of the best fighters of the last 10 years. That's what we're talking about here. So let's lock in our predictions. It's the undisputed main event for all the marbles at 168. What round is Canelo winning in?
Proof. Does he? Man, he's got to get a knockout here. He really does. He's been... Yeah, you know why I say he would? Is because Skull does gas. Skull does gas down. So, and I think he'll start gassing by 8 or 9. So I'm going to say round 10 knockout. He moves a lot. Skull moves a lot. He'll be a little awkward at first, but I think Canelo's going to get to him. He's not going to move for 12 rounds.
Yeah, look, his last knockout was November 2021 against Caleb Plant, and that came in round 11. But Caleb Plant was very elusive and on the move early in the fight. As he tied down and he was holding his feet still, Canelo was able to get on top of him. I mean, since that Plant KO, he's had the UD loss to Bivol, and then he's gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 UDs in a row against Golovkin, John Ryder, Charlo, Munguia, Landa. Yeah. So, and look, there's nothing wrong with they're all victories, so we can't be too harsh on Canelo. But I would be disappointed if we didn't get a stoppage. I'm going to say round 7, between 7 and 9 for my prediction. But look, Canelo is going to become undisputed again. It's just a case of how he does it for us, isn't it?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, look, and we have to hold him to a certain standard. If we're calling him a pound-for-pound fighter, you have to have pound-for-pound performances. Like, we would be all over Inoue if he was going 12 rounds with TJ Doheny, you know? You got to be able to stop certain level opponents here. So we should hold Canelo to that regard. Yeah. You got us. Yeah, let's see a pound-for-pound performance here. Come on.
Absolutely, my friend. I agree. And that wraps up the show. That is the final prediction. It's a zigzag across both coasts of America. It's a trip out to Saudi. It's another mental weekend in this sport we love, but we wouldn't have it any other way. The year's really kicking in now. Started last weekend. We've got this weekend. It's Lee Wood and Anthony Kakachi over here in the UK next weekend, which is a fantastic fight. The fights are rolling in thick and fast. But all that's left for me to say, a massive thank you to Mr. Chilltown Boxing. He is over on X under the handle that you see on the screen. My handle is also on the screen at Liam_Tully9. I will be back at the same time next week to look ahead to that fantastic card from Queensbury, their second outing on the Zone. As always, get involved in the comments, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much to yourself, my friend. I hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, man.
And everyone else, see you again next week. Thank you very much.